Presented by FantasyAlarm.com on Bettor Sports Network.
Third and short, Kyler Murray. Under pressure from Poona Ford. He's got DeAndre Hopkins, and Hopkins has a touchdown. And it is for Allen. And more. Josh Allen. Sideline. Touchdown.
Getting you ready for NFL action with information, advice, and entertainment. The Gameday Playbook presented by FantasyAlarm.com on Bettor Sports Network.
What's going on, everybody? Jon Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Gameday Playbook presented by Fantasy Alarm here on the Bettor Sports Network. You're at the Arizona Cardinals Radio Network and the Buffalo Bills Radio Network there on the call. And James, big surprise, I think, to everybody here coming into Week 10. After thinking Josh Allen wasn't going to be active, all of a sudden, he is going to be active. So for those who had Allen maybe on their bench, I guess the question today is, do you trust playing him or not? We also have a 9:30 game here today. Over in Germany, we have the Seattle Seahawks against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So another early morning game here to kick off Week 10. And there's really no reason to be leaving the Bettor Sports Network today. All day long, we're going to have coverage here, not only just the Game Day Playbook up until 11, but after us, we have the Front Yard Fantasy crew and the Bettor Zone there for the rest of the day with you as well, man. So a big day at the station, a big day for NFL Week 10, James. Playoff push is coming. That's true. Bettor Boss Matt in the chat. Good morning. Getting the game. Good morning. James, man, how are you feeling about Week 10?
Feeling good about Week 10. It's always interesting to see like a UCL, like when you cover baseball and you cover football, it's like one sport, it's like Tommy John. The other sport, it's like, oh, just one day of practice, intensive care, lots of talks with doctors, you're good to go. So, it should be interesting. I've seen the line just all over the place this week in that Buffalo game, back up to 6.5 in favor of Buffalo. So, the books feel like Josh Allen's elbow is good to go, and remains to be seen, right, John? But other than that, should be a fun week. Lots of good storylines, lots of interesting games. I won't say it's like the best slate of, maybe competitive football or meaningful games. I know, obviously every game is meaningful in the NFL when you only have 17 of them, but no, what's the one game on the board that's really 9:30 a.m. Seattle, Tampa Bay, right. Minnesota, Buffalo. Other than that, is there any really playoff implications on the line here? I don't know. A fun week of games. Just a lot of teams that aren't going places facing off against one another.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we're going to see here is some teams that are kind of maybe starting to take some turns, or the Chicago Bears, for instance. They're 3-6. But Justin Fields lately really starting to play well the last handful of weeks. Completion percentage on the rise. Obviously, elite rushing numbers. Was a single game NFL record for a quarterback. 178 yards rushing last week. They got Chase Claypool now in their offense, and we're going to see them hopefully integrate him a bit more. Last week, he was on a limited snap share, which makes sense, on a short week being involved there, but he's a big explosive player for them. And they have this awesome home matchup against the Detroit Lions, which I know for DFS purposes is going to be one of the highest stacked games of the day, especially from the Chicago side. So you want to see, can they take that next step and progress? We're also looking at the Denver Broncos. They're coming out of a bye week, right? Have they fixed any of their issues? Is Russell Wilson healthy enough with the week off? They're going to get on the same page with Judy and Sutton in that offense. They traded away one of their best defensive players in Bradley Chubb during the trade deadline, but they added Chase Edmonds. How does Chase Edmonds now get involved into that team's offense? Do they utilize him much in the way Arizona did last year, where he was sort of that early down between the 20s guy? When they got in the red zone, they brought in the bigger back. We could see maybe Melvin Gordon, Latavius Murray take on that role, and you see Chase Edmonds playing the role of sort of that guy that can be on the field in early downs and providing just an extra outlet for Russell Wilson there. So definitely a lot of interesting individual spots. But yes, from a matchup versus matchup standpoint, you're looking down this list and not very exciting here. I'm sure everyone would have thought Cardinals Rams might have been it. Nope. 3-6, 3-5. We may have two backup quarterbacks playing in that game. Kyler Murray already not expected to be playing today. Stafford's missed pretty much all week, so we'll see if he's in the suit up or not. It is an ugly, ugly slate of games here. But I'm sure when the schedule makers are looking at it, they're like, oh man, Colts, Raiders, Cowboys, Packers, like Cardinals, Rams. This is going to be a great 4 p.m. It's like, nope, we're going to sit here and cry for, the late slate here and see what we can do about it. But it's going to be a great day here at the show. We want you guys to get involved, right? We have our Discord chat for those who are watching over at Fantasy Alarm. If you're in the Bettor Sports Network chat, fantastic. It is free to sign up. Go to the App Store, download the app, go to your iTunes or Google Play Store. It's the Bettor Sports Network app. Download it, sign up for free, click join show. Because if you're watching us over on YouTube right now and I see you guys in there getting questions in, and you want to skip that line, if you don't want to be waiting for your start sit questions to get answered, just download the app. It's free. And then get into our Bettor Sports Network chat and put your question in there. And James and I will answer it first. This is your fast pass. For those of you who are familiar with the Disney system, right, James? You go there, you buy the fast pass, you skip the line. We answer your question first. You get to ride the ride first here with us if you want and get involved in today's show. So it should be a good one today.
Yeah, morning B-Dub over in the Bettor Sports app. Morning to you, morning to the Bettor Boss, as you mentioned. But yeah, just skip the line, come on over because we're 24 minutes, John, away from kickoff. We are 24 minutes away from the first game kicking off, Seattle and Tampa in Germany. Pretty cool first game in the NFL. My wife has friends from Austria, and they were visiting for our wedding recently, and they told me that they tried to buy tickets to the game there, and they were sold out in minutes. They had no chance. That whole stadium sold out in minutes. So super excited to see the game just kind of growing globally. And we've already heard Goodell talk about like, hey, maybe we should get a division over in London. So maybe we'll sneak a team over to Germany too.
You know what they should consider is like a whole football league over in Europe. It's like that could have been something. Maybe they could have tried. It's like a developmental sort of league where they have a couple of teams over in Europe, and like Rohan Davey could play over there or something like that. And we'll call back to a former Patriots quarterback of the day who played over in the European Football League, James. So just considering it, just throwing it out there.
Terrible idea, I think. Terrible idea,
yeah. Usually those alt leagues don't work, but let's talk about it, right? Seattle versus Tampa Bay. Again, who would have thunk it? The Seattle Seahawks are leading the NFC West. Everybody thought they were tanking when they traded Russell Wilson. Apparently he couldn't cook, but Geno Smith can. So, it seems like that offense is getting itself going. Kenneth Walker's been great. Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf have excelled. Their defense, which has some question marks, still kind of has some question marks. But now they're going up against a Tampa Bay team that is struggling. They had a comeback win last week. Maybe now that the divorce is behind Tom Brady, he can refocus on the football field and get that team going. But they're dealing with some of their own problems, especially on the offensive line. So this is a pretty interesting matchup here between two teams that are really going in different directions.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Tampa Bay turned a corner last week, right? We heard the fired up Tom Brady on the podium, drop the F-bomb and maybe that sparks the team, and maybe a trip to Germany does too. Seattle's interesting because they're starting the most rookies in the league. They've had the most rookies on the field at all times. Tariq Woolen looks like a star. Both their starting corners are rookies, and they're both stars. One was Defensive Player of the Month. Their running back Kenneth Walker, Offensive Rookie of the Month. Like, they're rolling it, and it has looked pretty good with Geno Smith, and the patellar looks completely fine for DK Metcalf. Wouldn't even know he's injured. Scored back-to-back weeks and has put up 14-plus fantasy points. I mean, you have to like. I know Tampa Bay is favored here, and maybe something woke the beast last week. We saw Devin White cut like this interesting promo after the game where he needed to be rejuvenated on the field after he was getting hammered for like not trying essentially for half the year, and he's supposed to be their best player defensively. And maybe things will turn around. A little interesting that Tampa is 2.5-point favorites as the home team, right? Like we're in Germany. They're sure. Yeah, I guess
we've kind of talked about this where like it feels like there's some legacy spreads going on in Las Vegas, and I know it's not the truth, right? Las Vegas, obviously they're the sports book. They're always they're more right than wrong here, but with Green Bay Packers all season long, and again this week as well, I see them getting they were favorites for a long time, despite losing, like outright losing to these games as favorites. And then this week, Green Bay is only getting 4.5 at home against Dallas. And I'm like, on what planet? Again, from my perspective, what planet is Green Bay covering a 4.5 point home spread the way they've been playing football? They just lost to the Detroit Lions, for crying out loud. Now they're going up against a defense that leads the league in sacks, that has a great offense. Like, where is Green Bay covering 4.5? I put it out on the Quick Out podcast. I'm like, if you're in a spot where you can go bet sports and you can get these alt lines, like, go see if you can get plus money on Dallas, like -7 or something like that, right? Like, because I don't think this is going to be a close game, and I don't see Green Bay being able to hang in. They're without some of their top receivers. Their running game has sucked. Like, I don't see where that's coming from. And then now we have, like you said, Seattle's playing better than Tampa Bay has been playing, and yet Tampa Bay is the favorite here. It's only 2.5, but where, like, why, right? Like, what's Vegas looking at that says, sure, everything that we've seen out of Tampa Bay and everything we've seen out of Seattle should suggest that Tampa Bay is the favorite here, outside of the fact that it's Tom Brady. And I feel like the reason that Green Bay is sort of given the benefit of the doubt with these point spreads is because Aaron Rodgers is there. But, like, it just hasn't panned out for Green Bay here. I'd be curious to see if Tampa Bay wins. Again, I'm wearing the Patriots shirt here. Big Tom Brady supporter, big Tom Brady fan all these years. I believe if anybody can do it, Tom Brady can do it. So, sure, maybe he's going to flip this season around. And, you can see Tampa Bay maybe with a losing record this year, win the NFC South, host the playoff game. And that's really all Tom Brady would need, right? Is to sort of get home. And, once they're in the playoffs, the season really starts for him.
John, is this the week? Okay. This is week 10. Is this the week that Chris Godwin scores a touchdown? Is Chris Godwin the new Jacoby Myers? Is this breaking?
I think Tom Brady has been getting snake bitten a little bit here. Is the number of times we've seen Tom Brady pass down to the one, and then all of a sudden, like, Lenny Fournette's getting the touchdown and whomever, because they're not able to. Mike Evans. I've had Mike Evans at DFS so many times where he gets tackled at the 3 or the 1, and I'm like, really? And that's, people are kind of dogging on Brady because he doesn't have many touchdowns this year. The rest of his numbers are all pretty up there in terms of, like, top fantasy production. He's just not throwing touchdowns. But if you look at some of those scores for Tampa Bay, a lot of them are in on the 1 or the 2, and they're getting down there because Tom Brady's throwing a pass where the guy gets tackled. So, maybe this is a week where Godwin finds the end zone. He's certainly, again, this is a Tampa Bay's defense. Seattle's defense isn't great. So there's certainly an opportunity for them to move the football. But does that offensive line hold up long enough? Are they able to move the ball consistently enough to make plays here today?
I think I will say, and I think there has been a shift, though. Like, Seattle's defense, we were attacking all year, like the first half of this season so far. And then they basically said, let's just turn to these rookies and let's just see what we got. And they've been rock solid. Both rookies have been tremendous on the outside. I think where they can be susceptible is Godwin in the slot. So I will give Seattle's secondary their flowers. Because they were not good earlier in the year. I mean, we saw basically after the Lions game, right? Like, after that, like, the insane whatever happened in that game, and then fast forward to now. I mean, it's been a complete different team. So I'm just interested to see what Tampa can do. I'm interested to see if they are going to score touchdowns, because, like, why does Chris Godwin not have any touchdowns? He, after seemingly came back from the injury looking healthy, and it's like, when you look at the showdown, like, especially if you're looking through showdown, like, it's hard to want to captain Tampa guys because they're not scoring, and Kenneth Walker and the defense that Tampa is supposed to have to be able to stop the run isn't stopping the run. I mean, they've allowed a lot of yards through 9 games. So, John, Kenneth Walker in the captain spot today. I don't think that's a secret, but, like, I mean, how many touchdowns are we talking? 7 touchdowns in the last 5 games.
He was in one of my lineups last week. Again, making a couple. You have your chalk in that 6K range, and I just kept on, like, kind of passing by Kenneth Walker. And I was like, that feels like a mistake here. And he was actually pretty low roster,
right?
And he made it into one of my cashing lineups last week. A lot of that was into Justin Fields being in that lineup, but Kenneth Walker was also very good. So, like, if you were looking for looking for that 6K running back last week, and maybe you're playing, Etienne or somebody like that, obviously Mixon was the home run call, but
Right.
Kenneth Walker in that 6K spot was just as strong. So it's going to be a pretty interesting spot there. Good morning to everybody in the chat. Kevin Holland wants to know, is Kyler Murray definitely out? No official inactives, obviously, for this 4 p.m. game till later on in the day. But early reporting out there is that Kyler Murray is expected to miss today's game. Obviously, those things can change. You can go through warm-ups. Maybe the hamstring feels better. But if you have Kyler and you don't have a 4 p.m. option, you're better off starting somebody in the 1 p.m. game today, so you're not left out. In the cold there for them there. Good morning to you there as well. Love having you part of our Sunday morning staple. Listen, we love being here, answering your questions and getting everybody involved and ready for week 10. And then getting the game. Says Brate is starting. Is he a cheap DFS play today? I mean, what do you think, James? Has Cade Otton done enough to overtake Cameron Brate? He feels like he has, at least from the offensive perspective. My worry is that they need blocking, and Cameron Brate is the better blocker of the two. So what are your thoughts on Cameron Brate today in DFS?
I mean, $1,800 in Showdown. Well, that's actually for the captain, so I misspoke. He is
$400.
$1,200. No, I still think we're gonna see 2 tight end sets from Tampa, and I think Cade Otton's just clearly the superior pass catcher. I mean, we've seen Cade Otton now garner 5 or more targets in 3 straight games. We've seen Cade Otton do that 4 of his last 5, including a couple games with Brate in the lineup.
Yeah.
He looks like a young Tom Brady too. So Brady throws the ball to him thinking that he's throwing it to himself, maybe. That's Cade Otton, of course, not Cameron.
I was saying, Gronk or
no. I mean, have you seen, dude, Cade Otton's picture? Like, he looks just like Tom, like when you look at, you ever seen that Tom Brady? You've seen, I mean, Tom Brady.
I know
the transformation, the transformation photos of Tom Brady. He looks like maybe like middle career Tom Brady. So maybe Brady thinks he's throwing himself the ball, but no, I'm probably not going Brady. You have to get lucky on a cheap touchdown. Look, this is the thing though, playing Showdown, you want to get different, right? Like everyone's playing the same people. If you get a touchdown from a $1,200 Cameron Brate, you are in the driver's seat. But I still think the volume is going to be on Cade Otton's side. The ability to stretch the field has been Cade Otton. I mean, pretty impressive yards per reception for Cade Otton. I mean, 3 of the last 4 games has been double digits. So I think
Cade Otton excited when they drafted him this year. So we're finally getting to see that. Every time he basically gets on the field for Cameron Brate this year, he's been productive. I think there was maybe 1 week, obviously, where I think he ghosted everybody, but the majority of the time he's been a pretty productive member there. We got some questions in the YouTube chat there, again, pertaining to this 9:30 game, so let's get them here quickly. We got Miles Sanders or Leonard Fournette here for today.
I like Lenny's touchdown upside.
Interesting.
I do. I like Lenny's touchdown upside.
Sanders has been very good though.
He's been very good.
He's also scoring touchdowns this year.
He actually is. So you know what? Kudos to Miles Sanders for scoring touchdowns. I just like the past Brady sneak potential is just not there anymore.
Sure.
And Jalen Hurts is 1 play away every time they're at the goal line from just jamming it in. So I'm going to go Lenny, Germany Lenny. There's always a narrative with Leonard Fournette, right? We're going Germany Lenny for me. It sounds like you're going to go Sanders, but you know what? Take that with a grain of salt. Because if John wasn't rooting for the Patriots, underneath his Patriot shirt, he's wearing an Eagles shirt.
There's no Philadelphia bias here in the analysis. Just because I've been correct about all of my Eagles takes this year does not mean that I'd be biased towards the Philadelphia Eagles. Next question we got. Good morning, y'all. Start Geno or Murray? You got to start Geno.
Yeah, I have to.
Kyler Murray may not play today. So if you're watching us here now, obviously no official inactives for 4 p.m. games until much later in the day, but early reports coming out. I think it was Rappaport had it, or maybe it was Schefter. One of the two usually has that information. We may not have. It's unlikely that Kyler Murray suits up today. So, if you have an alternative, you got to put him in your lineup unless you have a 4 p.m. guy. and you can kind of wait out the news. In a league that I'm in, I have Derek Carr and I have Kyler Murray. Both of them are the 4 p.m. games, so I can kind of sit and wait and see, how that situation pans out. Not great for Derek Carr either. No Renfro, no Waller. Basically the Devontae Adams, Mac Hollins show there against the Colts today. So, got to go Geno Smith there. Also has a question, Godwin, Lockett, or Smith-Schuster as a flex play today?
There's good problems to have. But, man, has Juju not looked incredible the last 3 weeks? Yeah. And now no McCole Hardman. I mean, I get it. Like, maybe the implementation of Kadarius Toney snaps go from 9% to 15% or 20%, but man, Juju has been nails.
I think this is going to I feel like they have to use Toney. I think there's a couple options, obviously. One, maybe Sky Moore finally cracks the lineup.
Yep.
2, Justin Watson has actually played 30% of his snaps this year out of the slot, and so is Mecole Hardman. Watson only played like 23% of the snaps last week, but he had 5 targets. So, maybe there's a potential that they slide Watson into that Mecole Hardman role because Toney's still getting caught up. We know he's not one to read the playbook, or at least he wasn't while he was with the Giants. Or Toney's ready to go, and they just bump him up to like a 50% snap share, and they go that route. But Juju's been unbelievable. I was talking to this about Howard Bender when we were kind of building out the DFS playbook and example lineups. Where he's priced on DraftKings today at $6,000 is basically, quote unquote free. We always say there's no locks in DFS and betting and in gambling. But his production has been better than guys who were in the high 6s, low 7s, mid 7s week to week. I would put basically Jalen Waddle and Juju Smith-Schuster basically side by side in terms of week to week numbers lately. They've been pretty close, honestly, from a PPR perspective. So you're getting about like a $1,000 difference, it feels like, in DraftKings today with Juju from where his actual production has been. So it's also against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So maybe it's just the Travis Kelce show today because they can't cover anybody. But a healthy Juju, which I think is another big factor. Earlier this year, he was banged up. Seems like he's healthy, ready to go, and he's producing. So I'm going to go Juju here over the other 2. Love Godwin and Lockett, honestly do, but Juju's the way I'm going to go. Good morning to everybody in chat. I'm going to say this to you all again. If you want to cut the line today, use your Fast Pass, as we dubbed it earlier in the show. Go download the free Bettor Sports Network app. That's where we're presenting this show live today. You download it from your iTunes and Google Play Store. It is free to download, free to sign up. You join the show, and then you get directly into our Bettor Sports Network chat, and you put your questions into that chat. We answer them first. We're going to get to YouTube. We're going to get to Discord today. But if you throw your question into the Bettor Sports Network chat, you get the priority. You get the Fast Pass. You cut that line, so there's no reason not to do it. But if you're watching the stream already, just download the app. It's right there for you to sign up, and you can still watch us on YouTube and just get into the app itself and put your question there. So, it's going to be a great day today, and it doesn't just end with us. As Getting the Game said, we have wall-to-wall ball with Bettor Sports. It's true. We have all day long, from the Gameday playbook to the Front Yard Fantasy pregame show, all the way through with the Bettor Zone up until later this afternoon. So, great time to be with the network here as we bring you to this 9:30 game. It's 7 minutes to go, James, on this one. Do we have any? I have to imagine we have some official inactives. Any big names here ruled out for this game already?
No, I mean, Cameron Brate was really the only one we were waiting on. He's playing. We know Russell Gage didn't travel with the team, and nothing from the Seattle side that stands out. So, like, pretty much everyone is in. Like, Russell Gage
is what you're saying.
Yeah. Russell Gage was the only one, but we knew that. John, interesting point here from Better Boss in our chat. He says he's starting Josh Allen everywhere he has him. Even if the arm is ailing, he's the best goal line back in the league. And I don't hate that because it's going to be cold in Buffalo. It's going to potentially snow in Buffalo. And I know, it could rain in Buffalo. Yeah. Like, they're just probably going to run the ball. I mean, and again, we're going to see Josh Allen air it out. He threw 65 yards in the air after he needed Tommy John after
it. Maybe not good for the elbow there either.
Probably not good for the elbow, but it's true. If they get in position to score, Josh Allen could score you 2 touchdowns on the ground and still finish a QB1 at the end of the week. So I think it's a great point.
Right? Yep. Threw the ball horribly, And yet his rushing upside able to save him from a bad fantasy day. Listen, it's not bad. I like Devin Singletary a lot in this game because, again, I do think that they're going to at least limit the throwing from Josh Allen today.
Sure.
And I guess that's where I'm a bit hesitant. But if we're talking seasonal fantasy football, like, what is your alternative to Josh Allen on your team, right? You're not starting Jimmy Garoppolo or something like that instead of Josh Allen. So, yeah, you got to go ahead and you put him in there. If you're playing DFS today, probably a 1% rostership, right? Because one, he's priced up. So no one's going to want to spend that money on Josh Allen knowing that he could be limited there. So if you're making multiple lineups, maybe that's your spot for Allen. But if you're in seasonal, what is your alternative to Josh Allen that would make you want to play? Unless you went Josh Allen to Justin Fields or Josh Allen to Tua Tagovailoa in your drafts this year, which certainly could have happened given where those two other quarterbacks were being taken. Right. You're probably starting Josh Allen. But let us know, guys, if you have a Josh Allen start-sit question today, put it in the chat. Well, James and I will be here to help you guys out. Ann Dunn in chat, good morning. In the Bettor Sports chat, she's got a question for us here. Again, we're taking you up 4 minutes ago on this Seattle game, and she's got a Lenny touchdown. Lenny Germany, Lenny, however you're calling it question. He wants to start one. She wants to start one in PPR. Miles Sanders, Leonard Fournette, Brandon Ayuk, and Terry McLaurin.
No, she's sitting one.
It says start one.
No, she says sit one.
Oh, sit one. Okay, you're right. Sit one then. Sanders, Lenny, Ayuk, and McLaurin.
I mean, that McLaurin matchup is just tough, dude.
Yeah, Heineke against a Philly team off a bye who's at home.
Probably sitting that one out.
I'll say this. Ayuk is kind of in an interesting spot because Debo's back.
They're
right,
healthy.
And McCaffrey's there. Like, where's Ayuk's target share coming from in this spot? So my lean, again, not great for Terry McLaurin, but Heineke throws him the ball 50 times a game.
They love each other. They love each other.
Like the number one guy. I'm gonna sit Brandon Ayuk this week.
I'm with you. You know what? I'm with you.
Yeah, so
I go with you.
Where I'm gonna go. Juggernaut. That's what happened was I saw Juggernaut had start one and had sit one. Good morning there, Juggernaut. Start one, full PPR. Jamal Williams, Jeff Wilson, or Michael Pittman. Obviously, Jeff Wilson at the end of last week's game started to cut in to Raheem Mostert. We've seen Jamal Williams over 20 carries. Back-to-back weeks, James. On this show, I said, if Jamal Williams is out there, please take the over. They're not running the football with DeAndre Swift. Rushing prop today for Jamal Williams is 61.5. It's been bumped up.
They smartened up, John.
still probably going to lean the over if he's getting 20 carries. DeAndre Swift's shoulder is not 100%. They're not going to have him run the football into the middle of an offensive line. They're going to use him as their pass catching back. So you can run on the Bears defense. I'll take Jamal Williams over total today. But if we're going seasonal here, Jamal Williams, Jeff Wilson, and Michael Pittman today for you.
I mean, the Colts are just a dumpster fire.
You have more offensive play calling experience, I think, than the current coach of the Colts. So
yep.
It's none. It's zero. So
yep. So I read the tea leaves, right? We did this last week with DeAndre Swift, and Dan Campbell said we are not going to give DeAndre Swift as many carries as we did this week. He went from 5 to 2.
Yeah.
Now this week, not on the injury report, no designation. But he said, quote, a little bit more work. Okay, a little bit. What range is a little bit?
And does it come from carrying the football? Probably not.
Right. You have
I think I saw it. He only played like 17% of the snaps last week.
Yep, 16. You're 1%. You gave him too much credit. 16% of the snaps. 16%. I think you have to go Jamal Williams. I think Jamal Williams is probably a top 15 or so back this week. And I think as long as Swift is dealing with multiple injuries, and the Lions continue to stink, there's no reason that they're going to let this guy.
Swift told an Athletic reporter he's probably not going to be 100% this season.
You have to play Jamal Williams.
Love him in DFS this week as well at $5,900. He has 4 weeks of 2 touchdowns. That is what can win you a GPP. I think you got to go there. Get in the game. What is he? Devin Singletary looks like a big day unless Naeem eats carries. Nyheim Hines is not going to take carries away from Devin Singletary. Cooks is unlikely to take carries away from Devin Singletary. Devin Singletary is the lead back in this offense. Yep. The only thing that you have to worry about with Singletary is does Hines start taking away some of his receptions? That didn't happen last week. Devin Singletary caught like 5 passes, I think it was. So all the fear that the pass catching work was going to be taken away from Singletary, at least for last week, wasn't the case. Hines wasn't really involved in, and honestly, I feel it should be that way. Singletary's proven to be the better back all season for them, very capable of catching the football and running, and it takes away some of the predictability of the offense there. When Nyheim Hines is on the field, defenses probably know a pass is coming, right? They know a pass is coming like 70% of the time anyways. It's the Buffalo Bills, but unlikely to run the football there. So, James, it is 9:30, which means rosters have locked for the Seattle Seahawks Tampa Bay Buccaneers game. Apologize to those in chat who we didn't get to their start-sit questions involving that game. I know I saw a couple of them that we did get to. So if we missed it, sorry for that, but we're here for you guys again the rest of the day up until 11 o'clock. And we also have no reason to leave. Again, we have Front Yard Fantasy Show coming up after us there. When James and I get back there, we're going to start breaking down into the main slate of games here, kicking off with the 1 o'clock games. We're going to continue to answer your start-sit questions. Again, download the Bettor Sports Network app while we're away. Go to your iTunes and Google Play Store. It takes 2 seconds to do. Sign up, join the show, and then get your questions directly into the chat. And James and I will be there to help you guys out on this NFL Week 10 Sunday. This is the Game Day Playbook presented by Fantasy here on the Bettor Sports Network app. We'll be right back.
This is Jeff Power with Real Time Fantasy Sports, and I'm here to give you my favorite Week 10 NFL pick'ems for this week. And don't forget to get in one of these great pick'em contests here at Real Time Fantasy Sports. Go to www.rtsports.com/DFS-pick'em, and we are doing a complete deposit match right now. If you use the code BSN, you can get a 100% deposit match if it's your first time using us here at Real Time Fantasy Sports. Again, go to www.rtsports.com/DFS-pick'em, put in the code BSN for a complete 100% deposit match. Now, here are my favorite Week 10 NFL pick'ems. My first one is Browns quarterback Jacoby Brissett with more than 223.5 passing yards. Brissett topped 24 fantasy points his last time out. This gives him 20-plus fantasy points 2 times this season. He has been off the charts this year, but very consistent. He has 250-plus passing yards 3 straight games, so that puts him over that 223.5 passing yard mark. And he has a great matchup this week against Miami. They allow the most fantasy points to quarterbacks on the season and have allowed 15 passing touchdowns this season. I think Brissett will eclipse 223.5 passing yards in this matchup. My next favorite pick'em play is Raiders quarterback Derek Carr with less than 239.5 passing yards. Carr did rebound last week, played pretty well against the Jags, threw for 259 yards and 2 touchdowns without a turnover, but he has not been very good this year, and that was a fantastic matchup against a pretty poor Jaguar secondary. This week, he has a much tougher matchup. He has 4 games with fewer than 20 fantasy points this year, hit the 300-yard mark just once. And that matchup this week against Indianapolis, they allow the 10th fewest fantasy points to quarterbacks, 6 overall against the pass. I think Carr is going to struggle in this one. I would avoid him and put him at less than 239.5 passing yards. Lastly, my last favorite DFS pick and play for this week is Giants running back Saquon Barkley and more than 93.5 rushing yards. He's coming off a bye. He has 3 100-yard games this year. He has an absolutely terrific matchup against Houston. They allow the most fantasy points to running backs this year, 32nd against the run, so they're dead last. They allowed more than 300 rushing yards just 2 weeks ago. They've given up at least 135 rushing yards 4 straight games. I think Barkley rolls in this one. Again, go to www.rtsports.com/DFS-pick'em, put in the code BSN to get a 100% deposit match. Put these pick'em plays to use, and good luck in all of your Week 10 fantasy games. This has been Jeff Power with Real Time Fantasy Sports.
The Game Day Playbook, presented by FantasyAlarm.com.
Welcome back, everybody. Game Day Playbook here. Jon Impemba with James Grande with the Week 10 breakdown going on here. Your fantasy football seasonal questions you got, breaking down some of the top news stories. We will go over some of our favorite player props. I do the Prize Picks article over at Fantasy Alarm out there today. One of my favorites is going to be this Jacoby Brissett passing yards today, James. So 225.5. He's gone over in 5 straight weeks. This is a matchup against Miami Dolphins secondary that is pretty brutal. They've allowed a lot of passing yards this year. That secondary is pretty weak. And I bring that up because we have a question again from Ann Dunn in chat. Kyler's their only quarterback. Stafford, Jimmy G, Rodgers, Dalton, Brissett on the waiver wire. How are you breaking that one down? I don't think we go Stafford. He may not play either. So
Yeah.
Garoppolo, Rodgers, Dalton, or Brissett to replace Kyler Murray this week for Ann.
I think it's between Garoppolo and Brissett, honestly. I really like Jimmy G with his new weapons, all his healthy weapons, I should say. But man, it's hard not to attack Miami with Brissett. And you brought it up, like even with Nick Chubb having the year that Nick Chubb's having, Brissett's been really good. Like he has been really consistent. I think they're going to need to score points against Miami. Miami's scoring against everybody. So it could be a situation where Brissett has to throw a lot. It's very close for me between Jimmy G and Jacoby Brissett, but I might lean Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, listen, if you're looking at it from a game flow perspective, right? You're looking at Miami, they're they're favorites, they're at home. We know, Tua and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, they can put points up quickly, and that may force Cleveland to have to play from behind. Now, Cleveland is not afraid to run the football when behind. They know that Nick Chubb is their best offensive player, right? And he can make big plays, he can get chunk plays. But again, 5 straight weeks now where Jacoby Brissett's gone over his passing yards total. He went for over 20 fantasy points just against Cincinnati last week. Donovan Peoples-Jones has been one of my favorite plays. And you probably tack his prop this week as well. I think it's like 43.5 yards or 45.5 yards. And he's a big play guy. And obviously, Mari Cooper has been playing really well this season also. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think it's tough. I may lean – it's close. I may lean Garoppolo because of Christian McCaffrey. And Kittle and Samuel, and it feels like there's a better spot for them there, but it is really close. It honestly is, because Jimmy G has been unexciting. So I'm gonna go. I think Garoppolo is the better offense around him. I think maybe you'll find that Brissett's in the better environment there, and so hopefully that is clear as mud for you, and we gave you the answer that you're kind of able to break it down. James, before we jump into all these questions, I just want to hit some of our YouTube questions here so we don't leave you guys out in the cold here that are watching. Pig's Feet over in YouTube needs to know, unfortunately, did have Rashard White in this question, so apologize. Melvin Gordon or Mac Hollins are the remaining options in the flex. No Hunter Renfrow, no Darren Waller. We see what Mac Hollins has done this year. Tough spot, though, against the Colts. So would you go Melvin Gordon or Mac Hollins?
We just don't know what Denver's backfield is really going to look like with the implementation of Chase Edmonds. Latavius Murray has looked better than Melvin Gordon. So I'll go return of the Mac Hollins.
Yeah.
But not the best feeling. But hey, Mac Hollins had some big weeks earlier in the year, and 2 of their top 3 pass catchers are out. So.
Yep. No, I would go Mac Hollins there as well. Great DFS value on DraftKings this week at $4,200 there as well. Mordenheim wants to know Godwin, Sutton, Ayuk, or Palmer. He needs 2 of them at a half PPR.
Well, Godwin locked, so we're pretty much picking between Sutton, Ayuk, Palmer.
Yep.
Dude, it's so hard to trust anyone on Denver right now. Other than, someone with a great flow that we'll probably talk about in a little bit in Dulcich season. But is it crazy of me to sit Sutton over Ayuk? I'm playing Josh Palmer here for sure. I think he's like the solidified guy for me. But I just don't like what I've seen from Denver's offense.
I said on the quarterback coach that I do over at Fantasy Alarm this week that this is my last straw for Russell Wilson. They're out of a bye. Tennessee's pass defense has been bad. I mean, even though they held down the Chiefs last week, Mahomes still threw for 460 yards. So, I'm going to give him another run. I would go Sutton here over Ayuk.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I mean, maybe it dates back to what you said, a lot of toys for Jimmy G now. In San Francisco.
So give me Sutton and Palmer there if you didn't already start Godwin. If you did start Godwin, go Palmer over Sutton. I think that's the way we're going to go there. Killa PvP needs to sit 1 out of Jonathan Taylor, Tony Pollard, Aaron Jones, or Dalvin Cook in a full PPR. Sit 1 of that group. Ezekiel Elliott, I think, is expected to play this week based off some reports, or maybe it's going to be a game-time decision. So thoughts on that group? I said last week I'd be dropping Jonathan Taylor. he's still a fringe starter for me. I don't know what to expect out of JT here, but how you going about this one?
I mean, they said they're going to be cautious with Zeke. So, like, what is cautious? Are we getting like a DeAndre Swift type workload, or is Jerry going to call down the box and say, "Hey, get Zeke the ball. I paid this man all the money in the world. Get that man the ball." Look, Jonathan Taylor expected to play. I know you don't want to play him. I don't want to sit him. I'm definitely not sitting Dalvin Cook.
All right.
In the Cook versus Cook today, John, narrative here, the Cook brothers playing off against one another. Aaron Jones, not on the injury report.
Well, he could start Amon-Ra St. Brown, which I would certainly do. So he can start Amon-Ra, which means he needs to sit 2 of that group, assuming he starts him. So sit 2 then of JT, Pollard, Jones, and Cook. Again, we're playing Cook, so sit I guess 1 so the other guys.
Oh my God! I mean, I want to play JT if he's healthy. I want to play JT. No Deion Jackson. It's just gonna be JT all day long. I know you want to sit him. I know, like, whatever you wanted to drop him. You wanted to never see Jonathan Taylor in the NFL again. I think you were saying last week.
I don't know. I mean, I guess, like, I don't know if JT gets. I mean, maybe he'll get 10 PPR points this week because he catches the football. Not that they traded Nyheim Hines, but I don't like it. I guess we're sitting Aaron Jones against Dallas.
Sitting Aaron Jones, yeah, sitting Aaron Jones.
All right. Sitting Aaron Jones. All right. Let's see here. Steven wants to know a full PPR: Gabe Davis and Jeff Wilson in a flex.
I mean, Josh Allen's playing. There's a little weather there. I like that matchup for Miami running backs. I will lean Jeff Wilson. I love the snap share from Jeff Wilson last week, John. Loved it.
Yeah, Gabe Davis has been too inconsistent this season anyways, and now you're dealing with Josh Allen blowing out a UCL. Could happen in this game, right? Like,
yeah,
we've seen pitchers go out there and try to pitch through an arm injury, and all of a sudden, the arm goes. We've also seen what Matt Stafford has looked like this season with an elbow injury. Also, they managed it all off season. They said he had tennis elbow, which is basically a UCL injury, and he's looked terrible. So, I'm not going Gabe Davis. So it would have been great for my DFS teams last week. He would have just caught that final throw, like 60 yards and 7 points there. Guys, if you want your questions answered, you want to skip that line again, go to download the free Bettor Sports Network app in your iTunes or Google Play Store. We're getting questions into our chat. We're answering those ahead of the YouTube channel. If you want to cut that line, get your Fast Pass on, download the app. Again, it's free. I don't know why else you wouldn't want to take part of something that's free to do, and you get the advantage of getting your questions answered. You have priority questions. Anne's in here. She's just rattling off start sits for us to get to. She says we've answered her Kyler Murray question already. Now she has a defense question for us. She picked up the Cards defense thinking Stafford may be out, but Denver, the Broncos are there, the Rams are there, and the Chiefs are there. Would you rather either of those 3 over the Cardinals defense this week?
I mean, I think the Chiefs defense is actually kind of sneaky, just given Trevor Lawrence care or lack of care for the football. But I like the Cardinals defense. If
the Rams,
John Wolford.
I'll say the Rams are home this week, right? The Rams at home against what could be Colt McCoy. It could be interesting.
Yep.
So I think either of those again are fine plays. The only one I wouldn't pick up is Denver. So I think you're fine going. It's Derrick Henry season, so he's going to run over no matter who's there. You can put up the 2000 Ravens defense, and I think Derrick Henry's going for $150 and a score. So just not stopping them. She has another question for us: Zeke or Gibson in a PPR league?
Gibson. You gotta go Gibson. Yeah, I think you gotta go Gibson.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Kyler Kyler afraid of Darnold? Oh, yeah, probably afraid of Darnold. I'd be afraid of Aaron Donald there. It's tough. So
definitely afraid of Aaron. I mean, I'm definitely afraid of Aaron Donald. And all
right. Let's get into some of these game previews here. Again, we're not going to ignore your questions. We're going to get to those sit questions as we come across some of these games here, but we're going to break them down. Again, if you want your question answered immediately, if you're watching the stream, you don't want to wait in line, don't want to wait for us to answer it, get them in the Bettor Sports Network chat. We'll answer those questions immediately as we're going down through the game breakdowns here, but we're going to start breaking down some of these matchups for today. Lions versus the Bears. Josh Reynolds is already out for the Lions here today. Khalif Raymond's going to step up, obviously. We know he didn't play very well last week. We know the running game with Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift and Amon-Ra St. Brown is your top receiver. James Mitchell last week, I played him in DFS at mid-price. He came through with a touchdown. They activated Zylstra again. He caught a touchdown. But Brock Wright played 85% of the offensive snaps last week, but more of a run blocking tight end than a pass blocking receiving tight end there. We're not really in on the Lions side of this game outside of probably ASRB and then Jamal Williams, but we like a lot of what's going on in Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to. I mean, even Khalif Raymond had a great spot last week, and he saw 3 targets. They were very committed to the run. Detroit was perfectly fine with just turning around and giving the ball to Jamal Williams and moving on. And I think we're going to see a lot of that again here. Yeah, I mean, I guess the question is, yes, Justin Fields has turned a corner. Yes, he has been a little more active in the passing game. Still just 17 completions in back-to-back weeks. We still haven't seen him throw the ball more than 28 times. Like, how many of these guys can we trust? Like, Darnell Mooney has obviously looked better, right? He scored last week. He had 8 targets. That was great. Cole Kmet has obviously looked better. He scored in 2 straight weeks, 3 touchdowns in those 2 games.
Yeah.
But now the addition of Chase Claypool is interesting. Like, he had 6 targets. What is his role going to continue to grow into? Because we know we can see Claypool in sweeps, and he can be involved in the running game. Like, how many of these guys are you willing to trust in seasonal? Like, if you have Mooney, is he an automatic start? Is Claypool an automatic start for you? Is Kmet just, given how bad tight end is, probably a start for you?
Yeah, they're all starts for me. Again, my takeaway on the Claypool acquisition is because they want to expand their offense. So utilizing Fields' running ability should open up, I think, the passing game a bit. Plus, we know that Claypool is actually usable in the running game as well. We've seen that from his time with the Steelers. They can line him up in the backfield. They can do these jet sweeps with him as well. They can run RPOs with him. And I've always said the biggest issue I had with the last regime in Chicago is they weren't utilizing what Fields did best, which is allow the mobility to create space and timing and room for the receivers to get open. Their offensive line is horrible. Having him drop back and basically get sacked immediately. There were some highlights last year where, like, by the time the ball was snapped to him, there was already guys in the backfield, and he had zero opportunity to make any plays. If you get him kind of on the move from the snap, defenses have to freeze, they have to spy him, they have to worry about him taking off, and that just allows time for now his super fast wide receivers and Darnell Mooney, who ran a sub 4.40, and Claypool who's just a freak of a person. You should not be that big and that fast, but he's 6'4", 240, and ran a 4.42. Again, I understand that running in shorts at the combine doesn't translate always to NFL speed, but it does here. These guys are burners, right? So he has a big arm. If these guys get open, he can create that space with his legs. Big plays are going to be made, and I think that they're just sort of starting to build this offense around Fields. I made the comment after that trade, and I got some flack for it on Twitter because people are so used to seeing Fields and they're like, oh, no, he sucks. It's like, he doesn't, though. Give him some. When you're throwing to Equinemius St. Brown and Giants great Dante Pettis and guys like that, N'Keal Harry, greatest first round wide receiver run blocker there is in the league. Your stats are gonna suck. You start giving you real wide receivers who can make plays and kind of bail you out sometimes when you make some less than great throws. Your numbers are going to evolve. The offense is going to be evolved. Next year, this team should put every ounce of money and draft pick they have in an offensive line, and they could be dangerous. So I'm a big fan of this Bears offense here. And then they get the Lions defense, which is even better, right? They're just the worst defense in football. So start every Bear you have, Claypool, Mooney, Kmet, Montgomery or Herbert. We talked about this last week.
It was Montgomery, and it was Montgomery, and I was all over Herbert. But neither of them were great because Justin Fields stole
Fields is too good. This is going to be a spot where you can't really play the running backs confidently because Fields is running for 150 yards. So Justin Fields rushing total today is 61.5. What are your thoughts?
If Justin Fields is going to have double-digit carries every week, then I'll take the over, dude.
His rushing attempt prop is 10.5.
Over, dude. I mean, it's just like you said, like why? Even the regime earlier in the year, we're making him a pocket passer. Like, why was he? I mean, I get it. There was like, he had an 11-yard or 11 carry game, but like he was standing in the pocket a lot. Like just seeing that run where he jumps and pump fakes last week, which has been on every highlight reel ever, like just shows you like talk about Claypool being a freak athlete. Like human beings shouldn't be able to pump fake in the air and then like break tackles and outrun every defender on the field at quarterback. Like you should not be able to do that. I'll take the over on both of those props, the rushing attempts and the rushing yards. Because I just think, as you mentioned, they're opening up the playbook for Justin Fields to thrive. No reason to think that doesn't continue.
Yep, I agree with you there. Vikings-Bills, the next matchup here on the board. Josh Allen expected to start all of a sudden after maybe being questionable all week. He had a limited practice session in on Friday, dealing with that elbow injury again, a worry that it could, like, this is a big risk for Buffalo. Like, they don't need to win this game. Like, why are you willing to put your season on the line here potentially? Unless, of course, and I'm sure they have, the doctors did MRIs, they looked at the elbow, and they're like, listen, he can't really hurt it any further, then fine. If that's what we're dealing with here, then okay. But, like, take the week off. If you lose to the Vikings, sure, like, tough. I understand that the division certainly in play. The Jets are a game behind you. The Patriots are a game behind now. Miami's sitting right there. But, if Josh Allen blows out his elbow, your season's over. And maybe it's over for next year too, right? So, so kind of interesting spot here. You have to play Stephon Diggs, but him and Singletary are maybe the only other Bills I would play. I don't think I'm playing Gabe Davis today. I'm not going to play Dawson Knox unless I absolutely have to. On the Viking side of things, again, you just play the core guys. We told you, and you and I went back and forth on this one as well last week. Kevin O'Connell told us TJ Hawkinson will be very much involved in the offense. 80+% of the offensive snaps. He had 9 catches on 9 targets. He's an absolute monster. His receiving prop today, James, 35.5 yards for TJ Hawkinson.
That feels wrong.
I am against a defense in Buffalo without Jordan Poyer today, without K.R. Elam. Like they're missing some secondary guys here today. 35.5 yards for TJ Hawkinson, man. Like that is super low.
Maybe, they could be factoring in weather. They could be factoring in Buffalo's defense, a combination of both those things. But it does feel low, especially when you factor in. Look, you were totally right. And sometimes
say that again.
Coach speak. No, you get it once. That's all I'll say. I'll give it to you once. Sometimes coach speak is coach speak. But TJ Hawkinson went out there, played all the snaps, and looked great. And Kirk Cousins raved about him after the game. And he said he can't wait to get him more involved, and it's going to continue to grow. And it was always about just like the implementation of new guys into this like closed off circle. Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen. No one else was invited into like that bubble that they had, and then they opened up with open arms to TJ Hawkinson. So the prop feels low. There is a few things that could potentially keep it low, but look, he's going to get 9 targets, and I don't think we can maybe predict 9 targets every game for TJ Hawkinson, but who's to say they don't go right back to the well if they need to? Kirk has thrown 36 and 40 times the last 2 weeks. Like if he's throwing around 40 times a game, like TJ Hawkinson's going to be heavily involved.
He saw his season high 3 red zone targets last week, which is again better offense, more scoring opportunities. Yep. I don't have the individual slot snap share, but I wrote up the TJ Hawkinson acquisition article over at Fantasy Line when it happened. With Detroit, he had only lined up in the slot a little over 8% of the time. His current numbers right now, his slot snaps percentage is up to 16.8%. So it seems like the Vikings basically only lined him up in the slot last week.
Yep.
And we talked about that. That's where a lot of Irv Smith's snaps are coming from as well. Instead of the Lions basically having Hawkinson with like his hand in the ground, the Vikings instead have him split, as a big slot. they have Thielen on the outside of him, and then they have Jefferson on the other side. And you're allowing Hawkinson basically to be the slot receiver in these 3 wide receiver sets. Played 86% of the offensive snaps. I said in that article, if they move him into the slot, like, look out. Like, he's going to have just unbelievable matchups, and it's going to allow him to get off the line much quicker into his route if doesn't have a hand in the ground. So just seeing the fact that basically his snap share percentage from the slot doubled in his first game with the Vikings is a really great spot for them. You can play all of those guys, though. I think this is a sneaky spot for Dalvin Cook and DFS today. Very low rostership if you go look at our draft percentage forecasts that are over there. Michael Carter last week, a lot of success against Buffalo's run defense. Aaron Jones ran for 140 yards the week before that. Like, maybe Buffalo's run defense is starting to get a little bit of some holes in there, and they're worried. And teams have to worry about the passing offense with Minnesota. Could be a sneaky Dalvin Cook week.
Yeah, and what do we know? Dalvin Cook is a touchdown monster. I mean, He has 5 touchdowns the last 4 games. So this could be a double touchdown day for Dalvin Cook. The only problem is, like, you look at the landscape in DFS at, like, the running back position, and, like, everyone is trying to get to Saquon, right? Everyone's trying to get to Saquon. Derrick Henry's season, as you mentioned, is in full effect, even with Ryan Tannehill expected back. Doesn't matter. It's going to be Derrick Henry's show. Alvin Kamara in a great spot against Pittsburgh. Travis Etienne, once again, is going to be popular, 7,100. So, like, you're right. It's going to be contrarian. There's double touchdown upside for Dalvin Cook, but I have found myself doing whatever I can, not just because I'm wearing his jersey and I root for this team, and he's been the best running back in football this year, and, unbiased, of course. Yeah. But I'm looking to get Saquon in, like, every lineups.
Yeah, and you should. I mean, he's the top price guy there, so it makes a lot of sense. Again, if you're pivoting, though, making 20 lineups, as you say all the time, don't be 100% on anybody, because if something happens and you can be different from the field, then you go ahead and you take it down there. Broncos versus Titans is a game that we're going to talk about here coming up. Again, we have a lot of questions in chat. We're going to get to you guys here. If you want to go ahead and download the Bettor Sports Network app, you get that for free. Get your questions in chat. Ann Dunn in question, and Scott Fishbowl. She needs to start 2 between Khalif Raymond. Again, we just talked about this Lions game. Khalif Raymond, Juwan Johnson, and Graham Gano.
I'm going to start Khalif Raymond and Juwan Johnson, although Graham Gano, probably other than Saquon, probably been the best offensive weapon for the Giants this year.
Yeah, it is true. It's crazy enough to think, but kickers in SFB 12 are actually pretty good assets for bye weeks. I actually just picked up a bunch of kickers and started them, so because they can score points. So that's the way it is. Denver, Tennessee here. Ryan Tannehill is expected to come back, a little boost to their passing offense here. Treylon Burks going to come back. He's their best pass catching receiver on the team. We'll see if he actually gets any usage here because again, it is Derrick Henry season for Tennessee. But we've talked about the Denver Broncos side of things lately. Coming off of a bye, Greg Dulcich has been unbelievable since coming on, being activated off IR and starting 3 straight weeks of top tight end production here. Thoughts on this matchup?
I mean, I think it's very difficult to trust Denver. And I know you alluded to Tennessee's pass defense being very bad, and that's why you're giving Russell Wilson the benefit of the doubt. Maybe, this bye week is exactly what he needed, but, like, I'm just confused at what Denver's doing. Like, they trade for Russell Wilson and they give him the extension in the offseason. And then they trade their best defensive player in the middle of the season.
Yeah.
They floated Jerry Jeudy's name out the entire trade deadline. Like, what is Denver's identity? What are they trying to be? They're not going to be competitive in this division. Like, they're trying to catch the Chiefs. They're trying to catch the Chargers, who, are the Chargers, always going to be the Chargers, apparently, even with Brandon Staley under in his regime. Yeah. What is Denver going to be? And I don't know what message it sent that they traded their best defender away. Like, that, it's mind blowing. So I'm very curious how they respond. Like, Jeudy and Sutton, you're probably starting 4 AFC teams on a bye. You're probably going to start both those guys. But I think, John, I mean, am I crazy to think that Greg Dulcich is the safest option for the Broncos? Like, just based on position scarcity, right? When you talk about tight end, like there's no Mark Andrews this week. Tight end stinks already.
Yeah.
And Dolce's usage has been great. The snaps have been great. His big playability has been great. And Russell Wilson he scored a touchdown. Like, is he the safest Bronco? Especially considering the running back position is a mess.
Yeah. Judy's been has been better.
The last 2 weeks, he's been better. Sure. The last 2 weeks, he's been better.
Dolce for sure, especially given the position, is somebody I think we can hopefully continue to rely on. We talked a lot about this. One of the reasons everybody was so high on Alberto at the beginning of the year, unfortunately, was the fact that Russell Wilson did throw to his tight ends when in Seattle. So now he's over here. Alberto obviously wasn't able to beat out like Eric Tomlinson for crying out loud for snaps. But Dolchik is here, and he is the number one guy, and he's starting to get those looks. So full on agreement with you. From the Tennessee side of things, again, the only one you're starting confidently is going to be Derrick Henry. He is just, we talk about it all the time. Go look at his career splits and go look at his month-to-month numbers. When the calendar flips to like mid-October, like November, December, he is just an absolute animal. Fully fit of the King Henry moniker there for sure. So start him, not really much else that we're going to go and take a look for there. So
how desperate do you have to be to start Treylon Burks? Because like you said, there's nobody else you're starting. But like, in what scenario are you starting Treylon Burks? Because he is a very talented kid, obviously. Like, big playability, high draft pick. Like, how desperate do you have to be to play Burks in season?
Desperate, because he wasn't getting a huge target. He wasn't getting a big target share.
Right.
And you kind of have to. Again, I would wish they used them more. They just didn't. Right.
Right.
I like the fact that Tannehill's a quarterback, much better prospects for their passing offense.
Oh, yeah.
But first game back, like, how active is he going to be right away? So it's going to be tough to trust him there. And I see Work and Grind and Chad Burks or Latavius Murray today.
I mean, just probably touchdown equity, right? Like,
I think you're going with Latavius there. Denver's secondary is actually pretty good. So
yeah.
I'm going to go Latavius there. Brian Ricks and Chad, morning there. He wants to know Cardinals or Giants defense today.
Dude, if John Wolford is starting for the Rams, and I did intentionally say Wolford, I wish, thanks for the response, John. Appreciate it. I'm going to go Cardinals. I mean, he started one game in 2020 and did not look good. So I'll go Cardinals. Yeah, no, good Cardinals there as well. Great DFS play today, $2,700. Probably going to be the chalk move now that Josh Allen's expected to play. If you want to be different, though, still play the Vikings, $2,200. We'll see what happens. Next matchup we have the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Kansas City Chiefs here. Mecole Hardman is out. Kadarius Toney only played like 9 snaps last week, but again, there's now a hole there at slot receiver for the Chiefs. And Hardman has been unbelievable lately as well. Touchdown machine. So all consensus would be to assume Kadarius Toney steps into that role. Sky Moore does still exist, more experience practicing in this offense. Maybe he slots in there. And then my dart throw, I mentioned him earlier in the show. I'll just say him again. If you're playing DFS today and you really want to get dirty, you're playing the Millie Maker, you got 150 lineups out there or something. Justin Watson had 5 targets last week. So like a 28% share, slot snap share this season. And he had 5 targets last week. He's min price, stone cold min over on DraftKings today. Could be a guy to put it on your radar. So again, I'm not making him a core play. I'm not putting him in 3 maxes. He may make one of 20 and a 20 max. It's an MME. It's an MME play.
Yeah, big time.
That's multi-entry. Yeah.
But it's hard to deny 5 targets and a 30% snap share last week. And now no Mecole Hardman, and Watson's been playing out of the snap. So something to consider, though. Again, it feels like it should be Toney that moves into that role. And Work and Grind wants to know, Toney or DeAndre Carter, Chiefs Chargers offense again, still missing Keenan Allen, Mike Williams.
I mean, it's hard not to look at Toney's snap share last game and just kind of be like, oh, 9%. And I get it that like there's no Hardman, but even Hardman wasn't playing like a lot of snaps. He's just being productive while on the field. I'll go Carter. I still think it's kind of wait and see with Kadarius Toney. I still don't know. I'm not convinced on what we really have there, even with Hardman out.
Sure. I'm in agreement with you again. Just feels like there's too much risk.
Yeah.
There oftentimes what the fantasy community wants isn't the reality of the
Correct.
situation. So while we all want Kadarius Toney playing 75% of the offensive snaps, he could play 30. And Juju Smith-Schuster and Travis Kelce should still get all of the targets, right? So definitely some risk involved there.
Isn't that exactly? You just described Sky Moore's draft equity,
right.
John.
Yeah, exactly.
By the way, speaking of Chiefs receivers, like that is want versus reality. Like he is in reality was the fifth receiver on this team.
Why would you draft a guy in the second round and then not throw in the football? I guess that's a question to be had. So
sure. I think you're Justin. I see your Justin Watson, and I'll raise you a Marquez Valdez-Scantling, John. Talk about playing snaps. All he does is play snaps. Apparently, he's on the all cardio team at times. But we know the big play prowess is there. He just saw it a couple weeks ago against San Fran. 4,100. Listen, we talked about Patrick Mahomes a lot throughout the week, or earlier in the week, rather. I am all in on playing Patrick Mahomes and doing whatever I can to fit Mahomes and Kelce and Saquon into my lineups. And you know what? I like your Justin Watson 3K. I also don't hate Valdez-Scantling for a big play touchdown at 4,100 either.
Sure. Working Grind wants to know Pacheco or Burks. I go Burks there rather. Pacheco, I don't even think is rosterable, honestly, at this point. He doesn't look good when he gets the football, and also they don't run the football. So
what's his workload if McKinnon sits, you think? Because McKinnon's questionable to play today.
We're
going to see. Yeah, it's going to be. I agree. And CEH has been the guy in the passing game. And like in every 2-minute drill, it's going to be CEH. Like we may see maybe an uptick for Pacheco, like in carries. But what is that? It's like 8, like it was against San Fran. It's not. Traylon Burks, I agree. It has not been good for Isaiah Pacheco, even starting. It's just no thanks.
Yeah. Is Casey in the 2-minute all today? Yeah, the final 2 minutes of the half. That's when they'll be in the 2-minute offense. Honestly, their entire offense is the 2-minute drill because they throw so much. So that's where we're gonna go with that one there. All right. Again, everybody, I see you over on YouTube. I promise you, we're gonna answer your questions. Again, we're gonna get to them. If you want to cut that line again, we're answering some questions in our Bettor Sports Network chat. It's a free app to download. If you download the free app, your questions will go right into the Bettor Sports Network chat room here. And we're answering those first. Again, free to download the Bettor Sports Network app in iTunes and Google Play. You sign up, you click join the show, and you can get your questions in the chat. If you want, you can even call in and come on screen with us here and go ahead and get live and ask your questions with James and I. So it's free to do. If you don't want to wait for your questions to be answered, again, I see them. I got them all queued up. We're going to answer them next. We're going to come back from a break. We're going to get right into your questions. We're going to finish up our game previews here for NFL Week 10 is a big week for a lot of you. Playoffs are right around the corner, James. The NFL fantasy football season is flying by. Sure, the NFL season's 18 weeks. Most fantasy football seasons, playoffs start week 14, week 15. So, this is crunch time for a lot of teams, a lot of must-win opportunities here going down. And don't forget, we have a game going on in Germany right now, and we have a score in this game finally. Tampa Bay Buccaneers touchdown, Julio Jones, 31-yard touchdown catch from Tom Brady. It is 7-0 Tampa Bay. Start of the second quarter here. Not much going on. Geno Smith is 4 for 4 for 41 yards. Kenneth Walker just 4 carries for 6. DK Metcalf 2 for 24. Noah Fant 1 for 15 on the Seattle side. Tampa Bay, Tom Brady 6 of 10 for 79 yards and a score. How about this one, James? Rashard White, 7 carries for 26 yards. Lenny Fournette, just 4 for 18. White out carrying Leonard Fournette here. Mike Evans, 2 for 40. Julio Jones, 1 for 31. Godwin, just 1 for 5. Otton, 1 for 2. And Leonard Fournette, 1 catch for 1 yard. But changing of the guard, maybe. Leonard Fournette, maybe no longer the starting guy in Tampa Bay? Question mark.
That's interesting.
We'll see what happens there, man. Rashard White starting to cut into the workload there. So 7-0 Tampa Bay, beginning of the second quarter here. Just a touchdown pass from Brady to Julio Jones. James, I've been talking about the Bettor Sports Network app, but even better, there's a new Bettor Sports Network website as well. You can watch our live talk show, see our hosts and program schedules, along as all of our sponsors, upcoming prize giveaways, and much more. Plus the Bettor Sports Network marketplace, t-shirts, steel tumblers, blankets. Who doesn't love like swag? I love swag, right? Fantasy Alarm store as well. Got a whole bunch of new things in there, but the Bettor Sports Network store also got a whole bunch of cool things over there. All available at bettorsports.com. So go ahead and make sure you check that out as well. If you don't want to download the app, go to bettorsports.com and check everything out we have going on there as well. When James and I get back again, we're going to go back to answering your questions. We're going to finish up these game breakdowns here. We've got an hour to go. No more breaks after this. We're taking you right through 11 o'clock. Then after us, no reason to leave. We have the Front Yard Fantasy Show from 11 to 1 and the Better Zone Show, taking you all through game time, watching these games with you here. This is the Game Day Playbook presented by Fantasy Alarm here at the Bettor Sports Network.
It's Moose and Keith with Mark Malusis and Keith Irizarry.
Moose and Keith with you. Let's welcome aboard right now, Iron Eagle.
One of the great stories that I have from doing notes on a plane, and you always get people looking over. They see color-coded uniform numbers, names, height, weight, age, background, hometown. And I had a woman sitting next to me on a flight, and I'm doing my notes, and she's kind of giving a look, then looking, and I can tell she's looking. And then finally, she'll say, so what is it that you do? Well, what do you think I do? She said, are you a wedding planner? I said, yes. I said, I have to put Rob Gronkowski at Tom Brady's table. I said, you know what? You're not correct, but it's the best answer I've ever heard.
That's great.
Corey Nando and Friends, presented by Mayo Media.
Fantasy Life Fantasy Executive. It's going to be a football life. The Fantasy Executive is probably going to be the best football life ever.
We'll be the guest, everyone who was on yesterday. Basically.
Yeah, everybody that's on yesterday will be the guest. Scott Engel, you know what I'm saying? Adam Ronis. Yeah, everybody, those people. Because what Nando, obviously you'll be there. You know what I'm saying? We'll go to the GST and shoot some scenes. You know what I'm saying?
That'd be nice.
We'll shoot some scenes in Midtown Manhattan. Antonio Brown can be on my football life.
That'd
right?
be nice.
Because that's a big part of my come up as a fantasy analyst. Everybody, the football life, the fantasy executive is going to be for the people. When they do the football life on the fantasy executive, I'm going to be hands on.
Good. Yeah. You talking to you.
Lunch Money with Kyle and Ray, presented by FantasyGuru.com.
Cheetos or Doritos?
I truly love both. Cool Ranch Doritos.
Wow.
I grew up on Cheetos. I was a big Chester Cheetah guy.
Oh, nice.
But Ray, as I have aged into adulthood, I've moved away from the fun that is the Cheeto, and I've gone to the, more cosmopolitan Cool Ranch Dorito chip. So I'm probably a Cool Ranch guy. How about you?
I would go Doritos. I don't like Cool Ranch. The traditional, original, regular, whatever it is really good. But my favorite's actually the sweet chili, the purple bag. Oh, it's delicious. It's fantastic.
Yeah. The one that sucks, and I think we can all agree on this one, taco.
Yeah.
I know a lot of things, and I'm perfect at a lot of things. My Dorito trivia is a little shaky.
Okay.
A little shaky. But I think taco is the first flavor.
Welcome back, everybody. Game Day. Week 10 NFL action. Welcome back, everybody. Game Day Playbook here, presented by Fantasy Alarm on the Bettor Sports Network. Week 10 action, breaking down with you all the top news story, following along with this game over in Germany. Tampa Bay just putting some points on the board, up 7-0 here on the Seattle Seahawks. Seattle just punted again, so Tampa Bay getting the ball back. Maybe the resurgence of Tom Brady and this Tampa Bay offense here. So be ready to go and continue to follow that along. But James, I said it before the break. We're going to start answering some questions. Got a couple more games here to break down, but we're going to get your questions up now. I know a lot of you have been waiting patiently with us this morning. We appreciate you all out there for doing that. Steven has a question here. Gabe Davis, Jeff Wilson. I think we answered that one already. We're going with Jeff Wilson, right? Correct?
Yep.
All right. Lauren and Jim, unfortunately, had Rashad White as a question, but the other ones they have Herbert, Latavius Murray, or Elijah Mitchell. He needed one. Mitchell expected to be activated off IR today, but kind of difficult to go about with the issue there with CMC now in San Francisco.
I mean, I'd probably go. I mean, Herbert for upside, Latavius Murray just for touchdown safety, but again, we don't know what Chase Edmonds' role is going to be there. So Herbert has the most upside of that bunch.
Yep, I agree with you there. We got a list of some guys that have been already ruled out for today: Josh Reynolds, Mecole Hardman, Mark Ingram, Romeo Doubs, David Njoku, J.D. McKissick, Keenan Allen, and Mike Williams. Obviously, the big names so far ruled out. Unofficially ruled out has been Kyler Murray and Matthew Stafford, but we are expecting both of them to sit today based off some early reports. We're expecting Ezekiel Elliott to be active for today, again, based off some of the early reporting, but we'll have to wait and see officially if that one comes down as well. So Front Yard Fantasy from 11 to 1. Stick with the Bettor Sports Network all day. Those guys will have your official 1 p.m. inactives, so no reason to leave the channel today. Stick with us, Front Yard Fantasy. Those guys are fun. Good show to stick around and watch there with them as well. So stay with us. We'll get those to you. Nate wants to know 10-team PBR, Jamal Williams, Raheem Mostert, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Devonta Smith. He needs to bench one of those guys.
Definitely playing Amon-Ra. I'm probably benching Mostert of that crew. I'm sorry. I know, John. I know that one. I mean, of any start sits, that one probably cuts the deepest. But,
it does. Again, because there's just some uncertainty is the word I'm looking for. Uncertainty there with Jeff Wilson that is going on now. Last week, he looked really good at the end of that game. It ended up being like a close to a 50-50 share.
Yep.
But Wilson certainly looked better as that game went on. So if we're a split now moving forward, that hurts. I will say Devonta Smith all of a sudden had a great 3-week stretch, and now he's back to really being inconsistent. So in terms of floors, I think Devonta Smith may have the lowest of that group. But I don't know what most of ceiling is going to be anymore if he's not getting touchdowns, if he's maybe only getting 10 carries. Jeff Wilson even caught the football last week, right? Just not generally how he was being used. So yeah, interesting. Work and grind. How highly rostered is Jeff Wilson today? Honestly, I don't think he's going to be that highly rostered.
Nope.
I think most people will be looking at Singletary because of the Allen arm. Even with Allen active, I still think Singletary is going to get some workload today. But I will say this, and I've been building a lot of lineups today. It is hard to build lineups today. There are, if you want to pay for Kelsey and pay for Saquon Barkley, there's not a lot of great value. There are some good value wide receivers. We talked about Matt Collins and Donovan Peoples-Jones. Those are two value wide receivers that we like. Greg Dulcich is a great value tight end, but there's not a lot of savings this week that you like. A lot of our usual value plays either aren't playing today because of bye weeks, or they're not playing because we're on one of the primetime games. So definitely some tougher roster builds going on for today's slate. Because a lot of people do want to play Tua. They want to play Justin Fields. Those are kind of upper 6K guys, Mahomes. So you definitely got to get a little bit different. Rowdy wants to know Gabe Davis or Higbee in a tight end premium league that she could also start Michael Gallup.
I just can't get behind the Higbee thing if John Wolford is starting.
They're also not throwing to Higbee anymore.
They're just not throwing to him. I mean, no surprise with Van Jefferson back. So I'll go Gabe Davis. What do you think of Michael Gallup here? What do you think his ceiling is the rest of the year? He's gone. He's no more fantasy relevancy for him. But what's your view on Gallup in this Dallas offense?
I'm hopeful after the bye they figure out a way to get him more involved. The offensive coordinator there in Dallas said they got to do a better job of getting him open, getting him part of the offense. Right. But I've always said I love Dalton Schultz I think Dalton Schultz is the safety blanket for Dak Prescott. You look at last season, obviously. Dalton had that breakout year as the number 2 receiver in that offense with Dak. And then the 3 games that Dalton Schultz has played this year with Dak Prescott on the field, basically giving you 10-plus fantasy points in PPR league. So a great opportunity for him there. James, we have a guest to join the show, Work and Grind. You see him in the chat all the time. Well, he's calling in. He wants to be part of the show, so let's see if we can bring him on here. Good morning, Work and Grind here. What can we do you for today? Oh, there he is.
What's up, man?
What's going on? Oh, we got him. We lose him. Detroit, Chicago shootout in DFS. I think is what the topic here is. See if we can get him, bring him on, and yay, man, what's going on?
Hey, fellas.
How we doing?
What's going on, man?
Hey, it's Sunday Fun Day.
It is definitely a Sunday Fun Day for sure. What are we looking at here for today?
So, do you guys think that they're going to be stacking the Detroit-Chicago game for mega multiple entries today? I don't really see it shooting out the way everybody else does.
I definitely think that because the Detroit defense, there's a lot of opportunity there for a big scoring day, and of course Chicago's run defense has been pretty poor. I think a lot of the hype around this game is certainly the excitement around Justin Fields. I do think he's got to be a core part of lineups. But I said this last week, and obviously it worked out. You can play a naked Justin Fields. I think Justin Fields in himself is good enough to, as you saw last week, put up 50 fantasy points, and you don't need to stack this game, right? Like he can be the fantasy play. I don't really like the running backs for Chicago. I'll play a Mooney or a Claypool. But if you're stacking this one, I kind of agree with you. I don't know where on the Detroit side of things I like that game for. So do I think points will be scored? I do, but I think a lot of those points are going to be coming from one player. James, what do you think?
I mean, I think the 2 chalky options from this game are Fields, who, as you mentioned, you don't have to use his pass catchers given his running prowess. But Amon-Ra St. Brown is garnering a lot of ownership. If you go to the Fantasy Alarm NFL draft percentage, he is projected the 3rd highest play of the day, 2nd highest at receiver behind Tyreek Hill. So like that's
who Chicago got covering the slot. Didn't Smith cover the slot, but they moved him, right?
Yeah, they had to go ahead and readjust their defense, obviously, moving on some of their trades. Now, Roquan wasn't obviously always in the slot. He was more obviously their pass rush and linebacker, but he was a guy that would put on their tight ends, obviously, and kind of cover those guys. So Detroit doesn't really have the tight end anymore. James Mitchell last week had the touchdown, but only played 20% of the offensive snaps there. So it's not really impacting too much of the defense there for Chicago. It's their run defense. Trading Swift and trading who was it? Was it Quinn? Was the other guy that I think they moved on from, right? Like that hurts their run defense for sure. So we like Jamal Williams today. If you want to kind of mini stack this, I would go Jamal Williams, and I would go just Justin Fields basically on the other side. Mooney's a little bit too expensive this week. I've been playing him at under $5K all season long. Now he's $5,500 over on DraftKings, but Claypool kind of taking over that Mooney price at 48 if you're kind of interested in going that route. I think you could certainly do that. Or if you want to be contrarian today, in my opinion, the pivot off of Goldfish could be Komet at the same price. So it could be a way to go.
Yeah. To your point, Work and Grind, the slot corner for Chicago this year, Kyler Gordon, according to PFF, the 102nd ranked corner out of 114 this year.
So that's really solid.
Yeah, it's a great matchup for Amon-Ra. I think that kind of correlates with the roster percentage there, considering.
But this game's in Chicago, though, isn't it?
Yep, in Chicago. No weather though.
Golf sucks on the road.
I mean, let's
his road splits are insane.
Yeah,
they are. He does like the indoor stadium there in Detroit. That's for sure. I don't have much else to add there. I do think Cole Kmet is an interesting tournament pivot if we're going to get touchdown equity, right? And I think the same can be said for every Justin Fields pass catcher. I think Claypool can have upside if he catches a touchdown pass, or as you mentioned earlier, John, like jet sweep to Claypool has been there since he's come into the league. So like, I kind of agree. Like this game, we thought Packers-Lions could shoot out, right? And then they ran the ball with 25 times with Jamal Williams, and they just controlled the clock. Like they could elect to do that if they're in the lead. I think it's going to, I think how the Lions offense is going to dictate, or how the Bears offense goes is going to dictate the flow of this game. Because if Justin Fields does what he did against Miami last week, Detroit's going to have no choice, but I think to air it out. But if they
Fields
can
could go for 300 yards.
he sure can. He absolutely can.
Yeah, I agree
there.
Do you guys ever go after these games like the Rams game this week just because of the low ownership of pieces in it?
In certain spots, sure, but I don't think this is the spot to do that because we're going to be playing with backup quarterbacks. Sloppy play generally. It's
too far.
Yeah, too far. The running back situations on both teams isn't great. You can't
on both teams.
So yeah, this yes to your question, no to this,
but not that one.
Yeah,
this situations. This situation specifically, no.
So we appreciate you calling.
I appreciate you guys.
It's a good luck in week 10.
Good luck, brother. Thanks for calling in.
Having you in, man. Sure. So again, guys, if you want to call in, just like Work and Grind did there, and get your questions answered, chat it up with James and I, please go ahead. Sign up for the free Bettor Sports Network app, download it, join the show, and then you can call in right now with us and get your questions asked. Talk a little shop with James and I. Another big play, Tom Brady to Scotty Miller down to the 5-yard line, of course. We'll see if Brady can get his second touchdown pass of the game or not here in this game. Maybe Godwin finally finds the end zone. Lenny football, 10 for 43 now. So
there we go.
After seeing Rashad White lead the way there, Fournette down to the 1.
Down to the 1.
So we'll see if he's able to punch in here with Tampa Bay driving down on this Seattle defense here. Brady 11 for 15. 132 and a score. James, got about a half an hour left of the show. Those of you watching it don't have to leave the channel after our show here from 11 to 1. The Front Yard Fantasy Show is with you guys right up to roster lock with all of your inactives and start sit questions going on there. And also Better Zone right after us here. We have a touchdown. Who we got?
German Lenny, baby.
What did I say?
48
and a score.
German Lenny, baby.
Poor Tom Brady just cannot get the touchdowns. Already has one, but just can't get the multiple scores there. So again, stick with us all day. Best way to do it, download the app. It's free to do, or go to the new website, right? Bettorsports.com. Go to the website, watch the shows there, and just stick with us all day and get your questions answered. James, again, a couple more questions in chat. Again, if you want to skip the line, download the app, and we'll go here, go up there against it. Sutton, Palmer, or Ayuk and a half PPR. I think we answered that one already. We like Palmer. Yep. Derby wants to know, he went with Dallas this week. I'm guessing that's a Dallas defense play. I agree with you 100%. Their over-under sack prop today is 3. I'm going to go with the over for Dallas there on the 3 sacks against Aaron Rodgers. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, question marks on the Green Bay offensive line. Who knows what David Bakhtiari is doing this year? He's like playing games. He's not playing games. Yeah. He's in games. Dude, for a guy with this knee injury, this like magical knee injury, they threw a pass to him. Why is he running a route if our knee is like so banged up? So yeah, Dallas defense is nasty, man, and that offensive line on Green Bay has some serious questions. So I'd go over as well.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Needs 3 in a PPR. Kevin Hogan over here. Donovan Peoples-Jones, Juju Smith-Schuster, Jerry Jeudy, and Darnell Mooney. Gotta play Juju.
Gotta play Juju. I mean, you're right with Jerry Jeudy. He's been good lately, so you're probably plugging in Jeudy. Look, here's the question, John. You love Donovan Peoples-Jones. We've also talked about Jacoby Brissett's passing prop. We talked about how good the matchup is. Do you play DPJ over Darnell Mooney? I don't think so. But I mean, it's good.
Probably not over Mooney. I would consider it over Jeudy, though.
Would you? I mean, back-to-back weeks of solid production for Jeudy. You mentioned how bad the Tennessee secondary can be.
I know. I gotta take my log for DPJ out of the situation there.
It's close.
He's been getting so many targets, and Njoku's not there, man. Like that's the thing, right? Like. Over 70 yards in like 3 straight weeks for DPJ. It's not bad.
It's a great matchup.
The higher upside play is probably Jerry Jeudy. So, yes, sit DPJ, play Juju Smith-Schuster, Darnell Mooney, and I can't even remember the name because I don't want to. Juju, and Mooney. That's
Juju. Yep.
Okay, love it. Next question there on the board. Lamar is on a bye. Do I start Daniel Jones, Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff, or Andy Dalton? And threw in full PPR. It's a quarterback question, but that's fine.
You start Daniel Jones there.
Do you get the reception if you do the throwback play?
I think Saquon is going to catch a toss today and then throw a touchdown to Daniel Jones.
Right. And then you get the receiving catch. So the PPR matters, right? So
the PPR matters. Yes. Shout out.
Yeah. So we're going Daniel Jones. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I think it's Daniel Jones here.
I'm gonna disagree with you. I'm gonna go Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, of course you're gonna go Kirk Cousins.
Sorry, I'm just that's what it is.
Look. Here's the thing. No rush defense worse than Houston this year, and I get it, Saquon. But man, Daniel Jones has not been a slouch in that running game. The implementation of Kenny Golladay, I think, opens up the pass a little bit more. I think their RPOs are going to absolutely massacre Houston today. And I think Daniel Jones is going to tuck a bunch of them. I think we could have another massive rushing performance from Daniel Jones, maybe even a tud from DJ. I won't coin him Danny Dimes because he's going to be Danny Runs today, John. Danny Runs.
Sure. Schwartz Center in chat wants to know, needs 2 of 4. Adam Thielen, Gabe Davis, Curtis Samuel. There is 2 Davises there. I'm guessing
there is 2 Davises.
Maybe he typed Davis twice, but he said 2 of 4. What other Davis would I be missing here? Schwartz Center. What's your second Davis that I'm just blanking on here?
I mean, it's not Malik Davis.
Judy.
Okay. That's
okay.
Jerry. All right. Not Davis Sims too. Good. I'm happy that Davis Mills does not have dual eligibility in your league.
Yeah.
I will go with definitely Judy. I think over.
I cannot play Gabe Davis today. I just can't do it.
Then I don't love what has Adam Thielen done this year to really make you excited?
Touchdowns.
He has 2.
But Hawkinson does exist now. 3 red.
But with Hawkinson, 7 targets last week. Great.
Curtis Samuel had a good week last week.
Samuel is good. He had a good week. There was a broken play that he may or may not have. But those things happen. Those things count. I'll go Samuel. I also like the rushing, ability of Curtis.
They're back to handing the ball off a couple times a game, which is good.
So I'll go Samuel over Thielen, but I think that's pretty close. But with the addition of Hawkinson, I don't know, man. I don't think Adam Thielen is
9
the
targets
same
for
guy.
PJ last week. So and 3 red zone targets, which is big because again, we consider Thielen to be a red zone guy there. So Schwartz, we're gonna go with
Samuel and
Rudy and Samuel. I'm getting the Shefty notifications on my phone there, and it was nothing. It was nothing of note there. It was actually a different notification there for the NBA. So you turn on notifications, you get notifications for everything. If you're a Yurt 7 fan, I'm sorry, it's undergoing knee surgery. So anyways, that's something that James and I, maybe we'll talk about it after the football season because we're obviously big hoop guys. James almost won a GPP last night in the NBA. I almost took down a GPP in the NHL. We're not just football guys here, people. We cover it all over at Fantasy Alarm, and we have a lot of success doing it. So let's get some more of these questions here, and then we'll finish up with our game previews. 30 minutes to go here, guys. Don't leave the channel. Stick with us afterwards. The Front Yard Fantasy Show from 11 to 1. Better Zone there from 1 to 8. I think great, all the way up through the rest of the day. And we'll have you there. Rowdy, question in chat: Pittman, Sutton, or Pickens in a PPR flex?
I think you got to go Cortland Sutton here. Pickens is fine too. I just can't get behind the Michael Pittman with Sam Ehlinger thing at this point. So I'll go Sutton.
Okay. Let's see here. Nate, and we answered that one already. Nate, oh no, you didn't. Nate has a 10-team PPR. Jamal Williams, Mostert, Smith, and Amar. Did he ask that twice? He asked that.
Yeah,
twice.
This is the one where we were talking about the Smith versus Mostert thing, and 3 and 6. I think you just have to go with Smith for upside.
Yeah, you have to go with Smith for upside. I agree. Alver wants to know non-PPR, already in a bad spot. Start 2, flex 1. Kamara, Pierce, ATN, JT, or Aaron Jones. Your team would be a lot better in a PPR league. Start 2, flex 1. So we need 3 of that group. Definitely playing Kamara. Definitely playing ATN.
Definitely playing ETN. Yeah.
So Pierce, JT, or Jones for you?
First off, kudos to you for whatever trades you swindled or like whatever waiver wire moves you made to have all these guys. And also, I saw the Twitter timeline last week, John. I don't know if you saw this, like bashing on PPR. Like, what world are we living in that PPR is the one getting bashed?
I'll say this: I think full PPR is a scam. I would rather do a half PPR league. The leagues that
scam.
Yeah, listen. The leagues that I'm in, that you're in with me, they're half PPR leagues. So I would rather do a half PPR than a full PPR for the reasonings that were given, right? Because what was the comparison? It was two running backs. One had like 100 yards in a score, and they scored less than like the running back that had like 30 yards that had like 5 catches. It was something of the.
We'll give credit to the running back for running out of the backfield and catching the ball.
Or do tiered receptions. I'm also fine with the tiered receptions points as well for tight ends, wide receivers, and running backs there. I'm not a fan of the full PPR, which is why, again, all the leagues that I run have PPR leagues. So that's just the way it goes.
I cannot believe that we do a podcast every day, and I just
for 8 years we've been doing podcasts together, James, and I'm just now dropping a Sam Ronnie. I'm sorry.
This is terrible news.
I didn't say play standard league. I'm not sicko. You know.
Okay. Well, you know what? Half PPR and standard might as well be the same thing. I mean, Dameon Pierce is a pretty good spot against the Giants.
Dude, Pierce is expected to be the highest rostered running back according to our draft percentage forecaster. I'm very surprised at that, but I understand why. It's a price point thing this week. I don't necessarily think it's a great matchup for him. But
a lot of yards. The Giants have given up a lot of yards. There's not a lot of touchdowns to running backs.
Sure. TD only leads for work and grind. Yeah, I don't know. Is Pierce 100% healthy? Yeah, I believe he is.
Yeah.
Is he 100% playable this week? Yes, you do have to play him.
Yeah, I go Pierce there. Hard to sit JT or Aaron Jones, but like I'm gonna go Dameon Pierce. I do think he can hurt the Giants here. Obviously, it's good to see the Giants healthy in the center of their defense.
I love Alvin Kamara this week in tournaments. Again, great for PPR leagues for DraftKings. Again, catch all those footballs. No Minkah Fitzpatrick this week, and you can actually run on the Steelers defense. They are getting Watt back, which obviously changes their defense.
Yep.
Big time. He's a great pass rusher, which maybe that hurts the Saints passing attack this week. You are getting Jarvis Landry back today. Yep. Jarvis Landry is an interesting dart throw in DFS. He's only $4,500. If you're really looking to spend down and you don't like Donovan Peoples-Jones or Mac Hollins, like Jarvis Landry is there for you today. Had that monster week 1 and then just got hurt and never played basically again until this week. So that just interesting spot there. I do like Kamara. So yeah, we're going Kamara, Pierce, and ATN there for Alvern. Notorious TBG wants to know spot start for Kyle or Goff, Brissett, or Wilson. I might go Russell Wilson today. I do. I like go Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go Russell Wilson, that's fine. I think Jacoby Brissett's a solid option as well.
Yep. We have a question here. Is Gus Edwards going to be good when he gets back? I don't know, man. Hamstring injury. Like,
very
Drake is
very
good,
risky.
Right? Dobbins is, I don't know. I don't think I'm trusting any one of those running backs to be counted on as like my core running back moving forward.
Nope.
Mr. Scampers here. Dolchich over Burks. Yeah, I'd rather start Dolchich over Burks.
100%.
Well.
100%.
Palmer gave Davis Day from Hudson. I'm going Josh Palmer there.
Same. Yep. Agreed.
Rain and snow in Buffalo. Should I pivot off Gabe Davis? I can pick up Cleve Raymond, Kadarius Toney, and Darius Slayton.
Or Kenneth Gainwell, Brian Robinson.
Well, I just not going to play either of those two.
I'd probably still play Gabe Davis in that scenario.
Landry's kind of
where's Jarvis? Oh, and Jarvis Landry. Oh, yeah, Landry's kind of interesting. Super low total in that game, 39.5 points. Not a lot of points expected there. We know Alvin Kamara is going to be heavily involved. We know Taysom Hill's probably going to vulture all his touchdowns. I don't know. I'm probably staying Gabe Davis there, but not the best.
Yeah, it's not the best.
I mean, Cleve Raymond just 3 targets with everyone last week.
That was a weird game flow, though. That was a weird game.
Horrible.
Flow.
Yeah, I mean, they ran the ball.
Honestly, I think I would go back to Cleve Raymond. I do. I think they'll go back.
I mean, they ran the but like who's to say that they that they just don't go back to that same game plan and implement DeAndre Swift a little bit more. Like they could just run, you know?
If we get an update that Tony's going to see a snap count increase, then I'd play Tony. Be on the lookout for that. What's Allen's status? Ed Bundle in chat there. Listen, yeah, they think he's going to play.
Yep.
They think Allen's going to play.
Reports are he's going to play. Reports are he's going to play.
Yep.
So
Keenan Allen, unless you're asking about Keenan Allen, not going to play this week.
Yeah, he might not play again this year. They said he's not going to play until he's 100%. When's that going to be? He hasn't been 100% since week 1. He came back. He said he didn't want to come back. They were like, no, you are coming back. And then he only could play half a game. And now it's like, oh, well, now I can't play after a bye week again.
Keenan Allen is a wide receivers coach, basically, at this point.
Yeah.
Both receivers there in Los Angeles, though, going down this week this season is a pretty tough look.
Yeah.
Great. So I don't have to play Brissett. Listen, I like Brissett today, but yes, I guess if you're going between Josh Allen and Jacoby Brissett, you're probably going to play Josh Allen. But if you're looking for those underdog props there, Big Bun, because I know you're always asking for them, Jacoby Brissett over yards today, Donovan Peoples-Jones over yards today. I think both are in play. TJ Hawkinson over receiving yards. It was at 35.5. I like the over there. Saquon Barkley over rushing. I said this one to start off the show. Every starting running back, RB1, that has faced the Houston Texans this year has gone over their rushing prop. The only one that didn't, and I'm going to caveat that, was David Montgomery, but then Khalil Herbert stepped in his shoes and ran for 140 yards. So more than likely, David Montgomery would have gone over as well. But every rushing prop assigned to a running back facing Houston this year, they've gone over that total. The last 2 running backs to face the Houston Texans, Derrick Henry ran for 1,100 yards against them, basically like 200 or whatever. And then what did Josh Jacobs do? Like 150? So all-time upset this week if Saquon Barkley sucks. And I'll blame you directly, James, for wearing his jersey and being a Giants fan. So
what if here it is. Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley rushed for 100 yards today. How about that, John? How about that?
I mean, I would prefer that not to be the case and just have Saquon be the guy.
I'm just saying that they're both going to do it, and there's nothing that you could do to stop.
No worries that Allen gets pulled. Working ground. Here's the thing: if he starts, you play him, right? Like you can't.
Yeah, I know.
You can't play the what if he gets pulled game? It's too difficult. Plus, again, as a Better Boss said in the chat earlier, there, Matt brings up a great point. They don't have to throw the ball with Josh Allen. They could throw 15 times and he could run for 85 yards and 2 scores. So, they could protect him that way and just utilize his running ability because that's probably better than whomever they would have. Case Keenum, under center. Case Keenum kind of mobile, could throw the football a little bit. Led the Vikings.
Did you see those? Yeah, kind of mobile. Did you see that drill? The
when he tripped over the bag.
Yeah, super mobile. I mean, just. Josh Allen light.
Yeah, Fields more rushing yards. Fields rushing total 61.5, or at least that's the last I saw it at. I'll take Fields rushing over Danny Dimes rushing.
I mean, Justin Fields ran the ball 15 times last week. Like, there's no reason, especially coming off 178. Like, there's no reason they just don't go back to that well. There's absolutely no reason.
Yep, I agree with you there as well.
By the way, Daniel Jones has missed his rushing prop in his career once. Just throwing that out there.
Just once forever? Are you sure?
Once forever. Yep.
Okay. What's his rushing prop today?
We can look that up, and while we're doing it,
you look it up. I'll give you this. Big Money Joe, 12-man PPR. D-Hop, Davis, Palmer, Mooney, Sutton. He needs 3 of that group.
D-Hop. Repeat that, John. D-Hop.
Gabe Davis.
Josh Palmer.
Mooney, and Sutton. He needs 3. Listen, Colt McCoy actually had a pretty good start. And maybe he throws to Hopkins 150 times.
Probably safe bet. They're over 150 times. D-Hop, Palmer,
Mooney,
and then it's Sutton or Mooney, and you probably go Mooney.
I go Mooney. Yeah, I go Mooney. Let's see. Start 1: Rondale Moore, George Pickens, or Gabe Davis in a full PPR. Howard Bender likes George Pickens today. I just don't want to play Pittsburgh, but Pickens has been decent-ish at times.
I mean, I think maybe Pittsburgh is rejuvenated a bit with the rating defensive player of the year back, right? Like maybe that brings them to life. But again, that total in that game stinks. That game stinks in general. But look at the other options. Rondell Moore has Colt McCoy, who's going to throw it. You just confirmed 150 times to DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
And Gabe Davis, we don't know anything about. Like, he's been inconsistent with a healthy Josh Allen. So I might go Pickens just based on the other two options he's given us.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Again, just Howard likes him. He's been right on Pickens a lot this year when I've kind of been like, I don't want to play anybody in Pittsburgh. They're so bad.
Daniel Jones, 34.5 yards. He's done that in 4 of his last 6 games.
To work and grind's point, does Houston put enough pressure on Daniel Jones to get him out of the pocket today?
Well, true, but it's also it's RPO. Like we're that the pressure may not matter if we're just running RPO and Daniel Jones is tucking the ball.
Yeah, a lot of the big chunk yardage for quarterbacks tend to come on those broken pass plays. So, but you're right, definitely possible there. We're about to go into halftime here at this game. Seattle just punted away. It looks like back to Tampa Bay. Going to be a little under 40 seconds to go in the half. Tampa Bay's up 14-0, so we'll be sure to recap the halftime numbers there in case there's any scoring before we go. We got another 15 minutes here with the Game Day playbook. But again, don't leave the channel. Don't leave the app. We got the Front Yard Fantasy Show coming up next. They'll take you right up to the roster lock with all the inactives and start-sit questions there for you as well. Trey S. says, good morning. He wants to know full PPR, Judy or Palmer today?
It's really hard not to play Josh Palmer and with who's in and out and in Los Angeles.
Yep, I agree with you. Then Laura wants to know, Laura and Jim Cooperman, family account, need 2 PPR, Pittman, Slayton, Ayuk, or Devonta Smith?
Shout out to the fam. Devonta Smith for upside. And I don't know, Darius Slayton, we'll see what his role is. They expect Kenny Golladay to play in a heavy workload today, John. And him and Slayton could clash in terms of,
sure, snaps
on the field. So I'll go Smith and Ayuk in that question.
Yeah, Smith and Ayuk. Yeah.
The Michael
play Pittman, right? It's tough.
What can you do in like the Colts offense if you're not playing Jonathan Taylor? You just can't play you're just not playing anybody. I don't think.
Yeah, it's been bad. He had 3 for 22 last week against the Patriots. So gross.
Dude, they just I get that Vegas has been bad, and maybe again there's been spirited practices with Jeff Saturday, but like their quarterback is not showing anything. They have a new play caller who's like half younger than half their team. He's never called plays before. It's just hard to trust anything Indy, man.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm with you there as well. So, all right, let's go back to some of these game previews here. If any more news breaks, we'll have it for you. We talked about Texas Giants, Saints, Steelers. We mentioned again Landry back for today. So we have that addition to their offense with Olave, no Minka Fitzpatrick for Pittsburgh. So good opportunity to throw the football. Pass rush though, TJ Watt is back. I just like Alvin Kamara a lot in this game, and I think Pickens is probably the only usable Steeler. I will say, once again, we've had some Jalen Warren hype out of Mike Tomlin. They're coming off of a bye. It'd be very interested to see if Jalen Warren starts getting some more carries cutting into the Najee Harris production there this week.
Yeah, I mean, Trent Richardson, Najee Harris hasn't looked good, dude. I mean, let's just face facts. And the bye week.
Another busted Alabama running back?
Alabama running back, yeah.
I won't say another. His fault. The team around was so bad.
Yeah, I won't say another because Derrick Henry still exists in the world and still wearing cutoff shirts and crushing skulls like every week. But yeah, he has. That is fair. That is different, like player versus transformer. But yeah, the team around him hasn't been great. He did look serviceable in the game prior to the bye, just in the passing game, which I think has kind of been lost. Like last year, he had like a 16 target outing. Like Najee definitely better in the passing game, and I think they really haven't gone to that well very often. Yeah. Now Ben Roethlisberger was dumping the ball down a lot, and Kenny Pickett is driving the ball down the field more. So there's something to be said there. But I'm not playing Jalen Warren. It is interesting to see what happens with his snap share coming out of the bye. Maybe something to consider on the waiver wire next week. What are you doing with Najee, John? Like, is he a flex play?
He's a flex play. Yeah.
That's like, yeah. And like you said, like you can play Pickens, even though he wasn't great. I am forced to play Deontay Johnson somewhere, and I'm probably going to play Deontay Johnson, but like it has been an incredibly another guy, a Chris Godwin-esque performance so far, minus, he's had a lot more drops than Godwin has. No touchdowns. Like it's just super frustrating to see.
Yeah. Tampa Bay just took some knees after getting that ball back.
Yeah.
So we're at halftime, 14-0 in that game. Brady
Vegas knew, John. Vegas knew.
They did
knew
know
something.
Yep, they knew. That's true. Brady 11 of 16, 132 and a score. Fournette 12 for 48 and a touchdown. Evans 4 for 49 and a score. Julio Jones has the receiving touchdown there. Geno Smith 6 of 10 for 69 yards. Kenneth Walker just 7 carries, 8 yards for him today. DK Metcalf, the leading receiver, 3 for 33 at halftime of that game here. So 10 more minutes to go here, James. Again, don't leave the app. Stick with us all day long. A lot of good things coming here at Bettor Sports Network. Coming at 11 for Front Yard Fantasy, and then from 1 o'clock, you have the Bettor Zone. What's the one game that you're looking at here today that you kind of want to go ahead and target?
I really like Browns Dolphins. I really like Jaguars Chiefs. Those are the 2 games I'm really trying to focus my DFS lineups on. Patrick Mahomes is an alien. We talk about aliens. Like he threw 68 times last week, and I think sometimes it gets lost on us because he does so much incredible, like so many incredible things where he's looking off pat. He's not even looking at receivers. He's throwing from all these different arm slots. He's so good on the ground too. Like, and we saw that upside maximized against Tennessee last week. And just like looking through his box score, like there's no safer option than Patrick Mahomes other than Josh Allen. But like Josh Allen's $700 more with a elbow that might be falling off by the end of the game. Obviously, Travis Kelce is as good of a play as anyone else on the board today. We could get a 4-touchdown game from Travis Kelce today, and I don't think anybody would bat an eye. The receivers are great. Juju's great. And you mentioned his price tag is so just blasphemous. And I think there's some really good bringbacks on the Jacksonville side. Christian Kirk, coming back into form last week against Las Vegas, 9 targets, now 7 or more in 3 straight games. Zay Jones has been getting a lot of red zone work. I know that hasn't translated to touchdowns, but Zay Jones could be a sneaky $4,400 DFS play. Marvin Jones as well, the boomer bust kind of guy, but I really like that game. And then the Cleveland-Miami game. I mean, Miami is Miami this year. I mean, they're incredible. Tyreek Hill is breaking records, and it's a guarantee 30 fantasy points almost every week. Jalen Waddle scoring a lot of touchdowns. Tua Tagovailoa has been great. The Jeff Wilson edition looked great. And then on the Cleveland side, we've been talking about Cleveland a lot today, John, and we haven't said Nick Chubb's name once. And I think it's obviously, a tough spot, but like everything we've mentioned is about Brissett. We've loved Donovan Peoples-Jones is great. Amari Cooper has had massive upside, this year. And Nick Chubb just chugging along. The game before the bye, 23 for 101 and 2 scores. Like, hey guys, it's me.
I put Nick Chubb in this week's DFS Contrarian Corner video as a pivot off of, you look at our rostership percentage again over at Fantasy Alarm. We have obviously the top 2 expected guys there, Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry, for obvious reasons, right? Henry's running all over everybody. Barkley with the best matchup on the board. Nick Chubb has the same upside. And it doesn't even matter the matchup. He just runs on everybody. You mentioned the Cincinnati game, 23 for 101 and 2 scores. Against Baltimore, 16 for 91 and a touchdown in that game as well. Really, the only team to stop him this year has been New England, right? And that's because New England just literally threw the house at them. But, it's just kind of an interesting spot for him today. I also kind of think what's interesting here, Kareem Hunt's rushing prop total today is just 32.5. He's pretty much gone over this number in like all but 2 games this year. He just had 42 yards last week against Baltimore and Cleveland and New England. For whatever reason, they just didn't utilize him in the running game. He had 9 total carries. Every other game this year, he's given you double-digit carries. Pretty much every other game has gone over this rushing prop. So I know it kind of is hard sometimes to go rushing props on like the backup running back, but they use Hunt enough to where he generally can sort of touch, get over that mark there. So I kind of have some interest couple more questions trickling in here. Let's see. Cousins, Daniel Jones, Dalton, or Goff today. I went Cousins, you went Jones.
I went Jones, yeah. I think that's I think they're clearly 1 and 2 of that bunch.
Then we have start 2, Mooney, Claypool, Thielen, or Tony.
It's just
maybe the first 2?
Yeah,
can you play both guys on Detroit?
That was gonna be my thing. Like, I don't like, they're not going to give you 30 passing attempts. Justin Fields threw his now. Maybe this is something to look into, right? They get Claypool, they acquire Claypool, 28 passing attempts last week, the most he's thrown all year. So maybe that's something to, take into this game. Like, great matchup. They're building the playbook around Justin Fields. They're opening up things up. Maybe he's gonna throw 30 times today, knock on wood. Yeah. Maybe. I'm not actually gonna knock on wood because my dogs would go absolutely berserk. But like, you just can't trust Kadarius Toney, I think, unless you're like just in a spot where you have no other options. Maybe you go Thielen over Claypool, but like, not confident about it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely close. Tony's your flyer there. It's kind of hard to go ahead and trust Tony unless we get news that the snap count's going to increase for him there. Right. Full PPR, who to flex? Mostert, Singletary, Deontay Johnson, Curtis Samuel, Mac Hollins.
I'd probably go Singletary, just given the role that he's likely involved in. Like, bad weather, bad elbow for his quarterback. I'll go Singletary.
Yeah, I like Singletary of that group as well. Hollins is definitely interesting.
Yeah, sure.
Because we saw him excel this year when both Renfrow and Waller were out. The issue, of course, is just the matchup. The secondary for the Colts is pretty strong. It's like their strong point of that team, obviously. Now, a lot of that defensive attention will be put on Devontae Adams today. No Shaq Leonard. Maybe you see Josh Jacobs get the ball more in this game for the Raiders as well. I like that they're home, but Matt Collins is certainly appealing. But I think Singletary is going to get like 15 carries today.
Yeah.
And the fact that we don't know what the arm is going to be like for Allen, maybe he gets some screen plays and some dump off options there as well. So that's what we got going on there. Again, some of the top headlines for the day. Again, we're waiting on more of the inactive, official inactive news here, but Josh Reynolds has already been ruled out. Mecole Hardman is out. KJ Hamler, Mark Ingram, Romeo Doubs, David Njoku, JD McKissick, Keenan Allen, and Mike Williams are all officially out already. Expected outs. We're looking at with Kyler Murray and Matt Stafford. We don't think they're going to play 4 p.m. games though, so we're going to have to wait for the official inactives for that to roll out. But if you followed Schefter and Ian Rappaport, they've come out and basically said that they're probably not going to be out there. Josh Allen is expected to play according to reports. So again, he's going to test that one during warmups, but all things being reported are that he will be out there on the field for it today. Ezekiel Elliott going to be a game time decision, but thoughts are that he too will be playing here this week. So if you got him to go, put him in your lineups. James, it's been a great week 10 breakdown. Hopefully everybody you're watching has a much success. Stick with us. Front Yard Fantasy coming up next from 11 to 1. Download the free Bettor Sports Network app on your iTunes and Google Play Store. This is the Game Day Playbook presented by Fantasy Alarm. Good luck. We'll talk to you next week.